Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good afternoon, my beloved lecturer, Ibu Ines, my beloved friends from the of UNES, and also all of the audience. Thanks for joining this event. Well, actually, let me introduce myself. My name is Apriliani Agusti. I am the lecturer of TEYL Salatiga. And in this special occasion, I would like to deliver my presentation about ICT for children that relates to our major topic today, which is about technology as new literacy. Well, next slide. Well, before I explain about ICT for children, let me give the definition about children digital literacy. Actually, this definition proposed by UNICEF. So digital literacy refers to the knowledge, skills, and attitudes that allow children to flourish and thrive in an increasingly global digital world, being both safe and empowered in ways that are appropriate to their age and local cultures and contexts. Well, from this definition, we can conclude that children's digital literacy is the ability of children to be able to develop themselves, especially in knowledge, skills, and also attitudes to face the global world, but still consider the aspect of age, ways, and also culture, and also the last one is local context. Okay. Next, please. Well, talking about digital competencies for children here, the concept of competence is understood as a combination of three dimensions, yeah, such as knowledge, skills, and also attitudes, including a distinction between these three dimensions of particularly important for children. Why this is important for children? Because children might have the skills to complete a digital task, but they don't have the knowledge about the context or even skill in performing that task. So another reason why those three dimensions are important because those dimensions can help in adapting digital literacy framework into educational curriculums, which is normally based on those dimensions, such as knowledge, skills, and also attitudes. Next, please. Okay. Meanwhile, when we talk about the definition of digital literacy in general, UNESCO proposed the definition, which is digital literacy is the ability to access and then manage, understand, integrate, communicate, evaluate, create information, etc., something like that. And then it includes competencies that are variously referenced to computer literacy, ICT literacy, information literacy, and also media literacy. So from this definition, we know that ICT is also the part of digital literacy. Okay, next please. Well, now we move to the definition of ICT itself. So from UNESCO 2003 mentioned that ICT generally relates to the technologies that are used for assessing, gathering, manipulating, and presenting or communicating information. Meanwhile, Elston in 2007 stated that ICT as technology used to manage information and aid communications. So from those definition, I can highlight that ICT stands for Information and Communication Technologies. It refers to all communication technologies, including internet, wireless networks, cell phones, computers, software, and etc., that can be used to aid the communications. Next, please. Well, now we will talk about the some term of ICT in early childhood education. We can use such as, come on Mas Anjar. Okay. Number one is, computers and laptop, include desktop handle computers. So I think the children are very familiar and very common with this kind of tool, yeah. And then the second one is digital camera and digital video camera. And then the third is, okay, we go Mas Anjar until the end. Okay. The third is about creativity and communication software and tools. And then the internet, it's very popular. Of course, it will be the main tool for accessing social media, such as Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, because those kind of social media is also the source of children in learning, yeah. Especially in this pandemic era, we what is it? School give the assignment for the children to watch YouTube, for example, yeah. And then telephone, fax machines, mobile cell phones, tape recorders, interactive stories like you guys told you before, simulated environment, and also computer games. This is also the part of ICT for children. And then next, Mas Anjar, okay, programmable toys and control technologies. And then video conferencing technologies like what we are doing right now via Zoom, and also maybe for another platform such as Google Meet and others. Yeah. Well, this kind of the term of ICT in early childhood education. Yeah. Next slide, please, Mas Anjar, because we have the limited times. Well, now I would like to tell about why does ICT matter in early childhood education. Yeah, actually now ICT already has an impact on the people and environment that surround young children learning. So ICT is an important component for children because it is important part of the lives of most people. So most people in this world are really familiar with ICT, including those who support the learning and development of children, for example, like parents and then families or even teachers in early childhood education. Children experiences must reflect and connect with their experiences in the wider world. Therefore, ICT is important for children. Why? Because ICT has an impact on the society and environment around children's learning. The second is about these technologies offer new opportunities to strengthen many aspects of early childhood education practice. So the second reason here relates to the opportunity and potential that includes opportunity to support and enhance children learning and play experiences, and then opportunity to support and strengthen practitioners' professional learning and development, and then opportunity to support and strengthen relationship and communication between the children with the parents or even with the people connected to the children. And the third is about support interest across the whole education sector for the development and integration of ICT into education policy, curriculum, and also practice. So there is support for education and integration of ICT into education policy, curriculum, and practices across the whole education sector. There is now a strong focus on the development of ICT policy, integration of ICT with the curriculum, and also practice across the whole education sector. So that's why ICT becomes very important, especially in childhood education. Well, next slide, Mas Anjar. Yeah. Now, I would like to show you the possible roles of ICT for children. The first one, yeah, you can see from the picture there the role of ICT. Children use ICT in their play or learning. It can be alone, with peers, or with adults. And then for some examples, activity, children use computer to play games, listen to stories, or draw the pictures. And children use ICT equipment in games or role play activities. This is the first example if you want to apply ICT for children. Next, please, Mas Anjar. Yeah, the second one. Okay, you see, there is a little girl with the camera, handphone, and then it's like doing vlogging. Yeah. So in here, a children and practitioner using ICT together to document and reflect on children learning or to share children learning with parents or other practitioners. So some examples activity that we can use is taking digital photos, videos like vlogging, something like that, audio recording of activities in the early childhood education setting, and reviewing this together or sharing them with parents, of course, yeah. And then practitioner and children using ICT to build portfolios of children's work to use for evaluating progress in children's learning and development. This is the second example if we want to apply ICT for the children. The other one, the next slide please, Mas Anjar. Okay, this is the last example from me. Possible roles of ICT for children. The roles for ICT. Children and practitioners use ICT to communicate or exchange idea or information with other practitioners, parents, or researchers. Some examples activity that we can conduct, for example, using video conference like today. We are using platform Zoom, online discussion, communities, or email to communicate with other practitioners, parents, or researchers, or to share news and information about what's happening in the early childhood education center. So children and practitioners using handphone or gadgetnya, okay, and then email or fax to keep in touch with parents who are not able to come to the early childhood education center. So for example, like when the parents who are work, yeah, during the day. And the last one is using telephone, email, or fax to keep in touch with children in their families in distant or rural communities. For example, respondents, school, early childhood education, something like that. Okay, next please, Mas Anjar. Okay, next please. Well, yeah, right now I would like to share. Actually, this is my research article, which is also about ICT in teaching English to young learners. This article actually has been published in Journal of English Teaching and Learning Issues, JETLI, in 2018, entitled Digital Game Project for Teaching English to Young Learners. So this is the summary of my research. Teaching English to young learners can be integrated with the advancement of ICT to raise students' potential in learning. And this study aims at explaining the interactive materials that are needed, especially in teaching English to young learners, and then creating an English computer game into interactive material. And the last one is examining the effectiveness of implementation of an English computer game for the first grade student of elementary school. So my subject is the first grade student of elementary school, kelas 1 SD. Yeah, and the study used research and development. Next, please, Mas Anjar. Okay, let me show about my product of the research. Okay, is there any trouble, Mas Anjar? What's wrong? Uh, unmute, please, Mas Anjar.
Really sorry because of the bad internet connection, so I would like to.
Oh yeah, that's okay.
Show you.
Oh yeah, maybe while I'm okay, okay. Okay, maybe next until my product research article. Okay, yeah, yes, after this 12. Okay, this one. So actually, ladies and gentlemen, and all of the audience, this is the product of my research at the time. So since this is English game for the first grade student of elementary school, so I create very simple materials, yeah, and also with the simple instructions. And the material is about introduction to vocabulary, about the animals. Not only the visual, I also add the audio for this product. So there is also the simple, simple text, yeah, about the vocabulary, and some simple exercises relates to the materials. And for the exercise, consists of multiple choice item. So the student or the children can choose which one is correct answer, and then guessing the animal from the voice, for example, like moo, something like that. So they will choose, oh, this is a cow, for example. And then the last one is matching the animal with the simple text. Okay, next slide, please. This one. Okay, this is also my product. Yeah, to make this game more interesting, actually you can see in your screen, I also put the emoticon as the sign whether the answer of the student is right or wrong. Jadi kalau misalnya nanti pas menjawab pertanyaan benar nanti keluar emoticon yang senyum, tapi kalau salah keluar emoticon yang lagi sedih gitu ya. So this is just to make fun because the subject is the first grade student of elementary school. At the end of the game, actually, student can get the score from the exercises that have been answered before. Okay, next, Mas Anjar. Yeah. Well, now I would like to discuss about the impact of ICT for children. Actually, there are positive and also negative impact for children, especially for the relates to the ICT. The first one is from the positive impact. It can develop and foster communication skill, of course. Yeah, this is based on the result of research. Franz Cotter and Post in 2002 found out that ICT can make a rich contribution to children's literacy in terms of listening, reading, writing, and also speaking. Okay, next please. Dilanjutkan aja Mas Anjar. Okay, yes. And then number two is the positive impact is about learning enhancement. So learning how to learn, it is very important skill for children. Okay, we have to say thanks to the internet. Why? Because there are many library with the infinite number of books every house, so children can do extensive research on the subject they wonder about. So each child is special and learn differently from the internet. So this is one of the positive impact from ICT. And the second one and the third is about parental control in emergency situations. As we know that technology for kids sometimes be a lifesaver for child and society. The children actually should be able to reach in case of emergency, even they are not old enough to use a mobile phone. This is very popular also in this what is it events like a smart watch ya. Is very popular. Kemarin anak saya juga minta dibelikan itu smartwatch itu bisa mendeteksi, jadi itu bagian dari positive impact from ICT. And then the negative, the first one is lower attention span. Yes, of course, because if your children spending too much time on using the most common technological devices such as computer, gadget, laptop, smartphone, tablet, and so on, it can cause distraction in concentration and concentration difficulties. And one of the negative sides, it's about it also can affect their academic success. So be careful about this. Okay, and the second one is about health problems. Yes, of course, because when the children spend most of the time playing computer games or other technologies in front of, for example, the laptop, gadget, and so on, they will not be exposed to physical exercises. For example, like running and then running around, playing with their friends and others. So it absolutely will affect their physical growth. Yeah. And the third one is about cyberbullying, abuse, and security risks. So I think it's very dangerous. We have often talked about overuse. There are some hidden threats actually among the negative effects of technology, which is about the cyberbullying. So considering that the technologies that are children are interested, it can usually be linked to the internet. We need to be aware to these external threats. Yeah, talking about cyberbullying, abuse, and also security risk. Yeah. Okay, the last slide, Mas Anjar. I want to say that technology actually does have a positive and also negative impact on children. That's why, as parents and also the teachers, we should know the tips for teaching children to use technology wisely. Okay, that's all of my presentations. Thank you very much. And then back to the moderator. Thank you. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you for the question. So the question is about why we should use ICT to develop literacy for children. Yeah. So actually, there are four reasons why we should use ICT to develop literacy, especially for children or in early childhood education. The first, because ICT is a tool that many children are familiar with. So we know that most of children know how to operate gadget, and then they know how to operate laptop, computer, and so on, since ICT becomes very close to them every day, because people surround them always operate this kind of technology. And then the second one is because ICT provides what is it, motivation for children is not only to learn, but also to read and also to write, yeah, and others skill of English, for example. Like what I explained before about my research, which is about developing a computer games. This is part of the ICT to teach vocabulary for the first grade student of elementary school. So from this kind of technology, children can learn vocabulary through listening from the audio, and then watching the visual, and then reading. What is it? A simple text, because this is for the first grade students. So the what is it? The vocabulary is so simple, and the instruction is also so simple, and also the exercise. So they can learn reading, writing, even another skills. Yeah. And then number three is ICT can aid teaching and learning, as the research evidence suggests. So there are many scholars agree that ICT can improve children potential and children potential, and also motivation, especially in learning, especially also in learning English. Yeah. And the last is about it is no longer enough to teach children in with use traditional text. Yeah, because they need to become familiar with a range of texts that adults use today. So they can get the knowledge and experience from the digital text that discuss everything in the daily life. And of course, it relates to the advancements of globalizations, that we as the parents and also the teacher, it, it will be better if we introduce children to this kind of technology wisely and appropriately.